Ordering real numbers. We are asked to place the following real numbers in order from least to greatest. I want you to go ahead and copy this problem down with these values and think about ordering them from least to greatest. So the first thing that you probably noticed is that we have different forms of numbers. We have a whole number, we have, well, that's not a whole number, that's an integer, we have a fraction, we have a decimal, we have pi, we have a radical, which is the square root of 17. When you are comparing and ordering real numbers, the first thing you want to do is get them all into the same form. Again, when comparing and ordering real numbers, you want to get them into the same form. So I'm just going to take -3. So think about what form do you want to get them to? Do you want them all as fractions? Do you want them all as decimals? Do you want them all as percents? So pause the video and think about what you would do to solve this problem. Okay, so I think that the easiest thing to do is to get everything as a decimal. So I'm actually going to keep -3 as -3. I'm going to take 10/3 and I'm going to convert it to a decimal. So 10/3 is just 10 divided by 3. And so when you divide that out, good grief, you get 3 and 3/10 repeating. So I'm going to write 3 and 3/10 repeating as my 10/3. 1 and 2/10, I'm going to leave that as 1 and 2/10. 1/5, you know, is 1 divided by 5. You also know that it's a benchmark fraction. So 1/5 can be written as 2/10. Now we have pi, and pi is approximately 3 and 1400ths. Not exactly, but approximately. Now we have the square root of 17. You can either put it in your calculator, or it's so easy to estimate these. The square root of 17 falls between what two perfect squares? It falls between the square root of 16, which is 4, and the square root of 25, which is 5. We know that 17 is closer to 16, so I'm going to estimate that the square root of 17 is maybe 4 and 1/10. Let's just say 4 and 1/10. So then we have -4/5, and if 1/5 is 2/10, then 4/5 is going to be 8/10. So we have -8/10. So now you have all of your numbers expressed as decimals. So the next thing that you want to do is use a number line. A lot of people shy away from the number line. Don't do that. A number line is really helpful. Don't try and put these numbers in order without it. What you have to think about is what you want your scale to be, and what number are you going to have in the middle? Are we going to have 0 in the middle? I actually am, because I've got -3, and then I have a little bit more than +3. I've got 4 and 1/10, so I'm going to use 0 in the middle. Then you think about what scale are you going to use. Are you going to use integers, or are you going to use halves, 5/10, 1 and 5/10. So think about what scale you would want to use for your number line. Alright, so this is going to be my number line. I'm actually going to enlarge it just a little bit. Alright, so we're just going to go down the line here. Alright, so -3. I'm going to place -3 right here on the number line, because I know that that's pretty exact. Now we have 3 and 3/10 repeating, which was 10/3. So 3 and 3/10 repeating. Well, let's say this is 3 1/2. So 3 and 3/10 I'm going to estimate is about right there. So I'm going to put it down as 10/3. It's difficult to write on. Now I have 1 and 2/10. So if this is 1 1/2, 1 and 2/10, I'll say is about right there. Actually, that's probably a little, probably more right here. So that was 1 2/10. Now I have 2/10, which I know was a little bit more than 0, and the 2/10, so if this is half, or 0.5, I know that 2/10 is going to be about right there. And remember, 2/10 was actually 1/5. Now I'm going to go with pi, 3.14. Okay, so now here's these two values right here are pretty close. So we have 1400ths and we have 3/10, which can be expressed as 30/100ths, or actually, since it was repeating, let's say it's 33/100ths. So we know that 33/100ths is greater than 1400ths. So we're actually going to put pi a little smaller than 10/3. So there's pi. Now we have 4 1/10. Remember, was the square root of 17. So we're going to say 4 1/10. We're going to write it as the square root of 17 right here. And then negative 4/5, which was 8/10, is going to be, well, let's say this is negative 5/10. Negative 8/10 is a little less. Notice it's a little less than negative 5/10. So there's negative 4/5. So, and there you go. You've used your number line, and you have put your values in order on the number line. Remember that we go least to greatest this way. So our smallest number is 3, negative 3. Then we have negative 4/5, 1/5, and so on. And our largest value is the square root of 17. So use a number line. It really is very helpful. Okay, so now I just want you to write your summary, a short summary that explains the concepts covered in the video. And I want you to make sure to include strategies that you're going to use when you compare and order real numbers. And then write down any questions that you would like to share with the class.